The Army Painter is my favorite hobby company in the entire world. My desk is literally full of Army Painter products, and it takes me from being an average painter to putting above tabletop standard models out into the tournament scene. Not only that, but the Army Painter has sponsored more competitive play than any other hobby company in the industry. They allow us to keep doing the things that we do. If you enjoy the Army Painter as much as I do, head over to thearmypainter.com where you can use the discount code ARTOWAR5 to get a discount on your next order.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another super exciting Warhammer stream on Art of War. And you know why today is super exciting, Mr. Seeks? Do you know why?
I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure.
Let me tell you why. We got the balanced data slate, the Munitorum field manual, rules changes, and so much more. It is the thing we've all been waiting for, and it's here, and we are so excited to break it down for you folks. I'm so excited. We got buffs to all my factions. This is wonderful.
Not all your factions.
All my factions.
Do remember you played Sisters.
Yeah.
I know you like to conveniently leave that. You conveniently leave that one out. But there's a lot of buffs. There's a lot of changes all across. And today is going to be jam-packed with Art of War content. So right now we're going to be talking about the MFM in this video. So go through all the points for every single army in the game. And then coming up after this, probably around 9 a.m. or so, we're going to have John and Jack come in here, talk about all the core rules changes, Brian X's changes, as well as all the different FAQs and basically what's happening in the rest of the game. And then later today at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to have our live YouTube battle report with new lists. New points is going to be new Blood Angels, brand new, finally have their points, up against Nick's Biosanctic GSC, which got a lot of drops that we'll talk about.
But that's not all, Mr. Siegs. We also, right now, in the War Room, which you can sub for today for free with your free thewarroom.vhx.tv free trial in the link below, we have a game going out right now, which is my new CSM versus Quentin's new Eldar. We're trying out all kinds of new ideas, making use of all these new points, and we're trying to see if there's different styles and archetypes for army lists that work that maybe didn't previously, and the results are astounding. Let me tell you about Havocs.
Don't tell me about that.
We'll get there.
Don't tell me about that. Don't spoil it. I'm too hype ready. I can't start hearing about Havocs now.
You know.
So really, really exciting. That game is live right now for our War members on both YouTube under the silver tier or above and on the VHX platform with that 3-day free trial. So please do check it out. It's going to be hype, and we're going to have tons more content coming very soon for every single faction in the game.
That's right. We're going to be releasing a War Room game every single day this week for the remainder of the week. And then next week, of course, we'll get back to our usual schedule, and we're going to have State of the Faction videos on every single faction. So even if your faction didn't receive significant changes, don't worry, the meta changed all around you, so you need to know how to adapt to it, and we are going to get all that covered as soon as we can in the next couple weeks.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. Nick, if you are joining us, last thing, if you are joining us, please do give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends about us. All of that massively helps us grow and give you the content that you want. In addition, please do leave a comment below letting us know how you're feeling about the balanced data slate, what changes you're excited about, which changes you were hoping to see, all that stuff. And coming up on Thursday, there will be a live show where Jack and I will discuss some of the bigger winners and losers and kind of like what's the shape of the meta going to kind of roughly look like.
Exciting times, Mr. Siegs, but I can no longer contain myself. We need to get into these points.
Here we go, starting with the Codex Adepta Sororitas.
So the first thing you'll notice, aside from this sea of red, is that Battle Sisters went down 10 points. And I think we should just stop talking about Sisters right then and there, because that's a buff. You know,
it is a good buff. Battle Sisters were undervalued. People were just like, Dominions all day, every day. Now, you're going to see more Battle Sisters.
Really thinking about Battle
Sisters? It's a good data sheet.
Yeah, but aside from that, Sisters were one of potentially the strongest faction in the game, specifically for their Bringers of Flame variation with the advancing and shooting vehicles and the +1 strength and like infinity miracle dice, and it was kind of crazy. So they basically took all of the data sheets that comprised of your typical Bringers list and just jacked up the costs. So Castigators went up 10 to 160, the Dialogists went up 10, the Dominions went up 10, Immolator went up 10, Morven Vol went up 10, Paragons went up a bunch, Seraphim went up 5 for 5, 10 for 10, and Triumph went up, let me check notes, 60 points for the Triumph of St. Catherine. And then in good news, Zephyrim went down 5 points for 5, 10 points for 10. Yay.
Hey, Penitent Host, baby.
Penitent Host. They don't benefit from that, but I like the thought.
Then every single enhancement for Bringers of Flame went up probably 5 points. I didn't have all those points memorized.
Looks like about 5 points per on most of the enhancements. So I can't be mad about this. I mean, like, the Bringers of Flame list certainly had it coming. I was personally really worried that they were going to, like, nuke all of the data sheets in the Sisters Army to overcompensate for Bringers being nerfed, and then all of the detachments that aren't Bringers would suffer. I actually quite like that they only hit the units that were in that list specifically, and they didn't murder any units. But for those lists that did run Bringers in, like, the competitive traditional sense, it was 3 Immolators, 3 Castigators, 3 Dominions, Vol and the Paragon's Triumph. Like, if you're running a list that just spammed 3 of the good data sheet times all of them, now your list is up in the neighborhood of 150 to 200 points. So with that in mind, you have taken substantial nerfs, but you don't have to run a list like that. There are lots of other units which are actually still good in Sisters, and I think you're going to see more diversity, which really is the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest miss that we're seeing here for the team that released this is this bad boy right here, the Exorcist, staying at 190. In the last several weeks, we have seen that a lot of Sisters players have pivoted towards double or even triple Exorcist builds. And yes, indirect fire is nerfed, but guess what? Sisters have a lot of ways to help manipulate that. And this is a really strong, it's the strongest indirect platform right now.
Triple Exorcist might be a staple.
So
it's sad and boring, but
not seeing it go up like 5, I think it should have gone up 5-10 points at least. But we're going to see them. So
we're going to get ready for some Exorcist indirect fire meta.
Do you like Exorcist? Yes. Click button now.
Yeah.
So I think this is a nerf to Sisters for sure. But once again, it doesn't change their fundamental underlying mechanics like Miracle Dice that are super strong, although Games Workshop did mention in their article for this release that later this year there will be another balanced data slate. One of their focuses will be Miracle Dice.
Oh.
So that is...
Well, I hope they buff that.
No. No more 20 at turn 2, I hope.
Well, that's how you play the army.
So overall, how are you feeling about Sisters?
I'm in a happy spot with Sisters. I'm excited to explore them again. And I'm not just saying that because I have to say that. Like, genuinely.
You have to say it. Got a gun to your head, Nick.
I was down on the Bringers list, not because it was ineffective, but because it was kind of brute force and boring-ish, and not really the way I enjoy playing my Sisters. I don't like just running fast guns and tabling you. I think Army of Faith, Halberders, and even Pentedos, despite it getting a slight nerfing clarification, I should say, I think they all have more play. By virtue of the data sheets that you take in those lists didn't really get affected at all. And they are good detachments. They were over-eclipsed by the absurdity of Bringers of Flame. But now that that's been brought in line a little bit because of the data sheet nerfs in terms of points, I think you'll see some diversity in detachment choices. And you'll see Sisters players who are like experienced and veteran Sisters players really be able to express their style and their skill through the table. And I love that.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to the Adeptus Custodes here. Not too many changes, but...
see some green.
It's a couple green. So Trajan Valores does go down. He did get a significant nerf from Index to Codex, and so he's going down further to compensate for that. Then the Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought, the regular one that stands back up on a 2-up, went down a bit. Virtus Praetors, the bikes, went down, so now that they are 70 points per model. I'm not sure if they're still going to be taking over some of the infantry stuff, but at least gets them closer. And then the 2 Forge World Dreadnoughts, the Achilles and Galladus, also go down. Now, Mr. Mark Perry and some other Custodes players have been experimenting with a Dreadnought spam list that was very popular in 9th edition. And there's some decent drops for the Dreadnoughts here. No drop on the Telemon, but still, if you really like Dreadnoughts, this is a time to maybe bust out running a whole bunch of them and send them across the table.
The bikes also got cheaper.
Yeah, it's 70 points per model. I still think Alaris, Wardens, Custodian Guard are still going to be the dominant kind of infantry units that you see, and maybe you'll see bikes splashed in here or there. But I think ultimately Custodes are benefited significantly by nerfs to other top armies, more so than buffs here.
Yeah, that's very true. Like, one of the big problems with Custodes is how quickly can the enemy kill them. And that's not really up to you. That's kind of up to your opponent's army list and things like that. The fact that the top end of damage-dealing armies like Sisters is getting brought down into line is really going to help them survive in the meta.
Yeah, very much so. All right, Adeptus Mechanicus. So there's some buffs, some nerfs here. We've got Corpuscari Electro Priest and Fulgurite Electro Priest. They go down 5 points. They had gone up with the June update because of the changes. They gained access to the army rule. Now they go down a little bit. I personally would have liked to see a little bit more aggressive here and go back to their original cost. because one of the biggest problems with AdMech is it's mostly Codex Skitarii Hunter cohort. And if the goal here was to increase internal diversity by allowing other detachments like Datasom Conclave to shine, this one I would like to see a little bit more aggressive here to make them a bit more interesting. Then you have Iron Strider Ballistari going up 5 points per model, which is a little bit strange because most of the AdMech players have been dropping Iron Striders.
Nick played against like 9 of these at WTC.
You played against 9 of them, and you played against me playing a bunch of them early on.
And I lost both of those games.
You did lose those games, and Iron Striders in both of those games perform better on Overwatch than in the shooting.
They get to Overwatch, though. That's one of the rules.
Well, they Overwatched, and I happen to roll 6s.
You happen to. You roll enough dice, you will roll 6s.
I personally moved away from them. I don't think they're that efficient. I was honestly thinking they might go down 5 points per model, so I was pretty surprised with this change here. Then no buff to the Castellan robots. This is a huge surprise because Cybernetica is one of the detachments that does need help for AdMech, and this is their all-star unit. And it's the only detachment that buffs robots because in the other ones, they don't get the army rule, which is huge. So not seeing any decreases here. I was thinking maybe 10 points off the 2-man and then 20 off the 4-man. That would have made them a little more palatable in Cybernetica. But no buff here, pretty surprising. Same thing for the Cataphrons. I think 3-mans, certainly for Breachers, should have went down here. And then the Destroyers. Yep, would have just liked to see decreases once again, helping the other detachment. Honor Goat goes down 5. I still think that's not quite enough. And then Sky Stalkers, Sterilizers, the birds go up 5 points for 5, 10 for 10. So if you were running the bird jail type of list where you had 30 Sterilizers and like 25 Sky Stalkers, you actually took a relatively significant nerf here. Your list is going up almost, between that and the Vanguard nerf, almost like 80 to 100 points.
Which I think, as a non-AdMech player, is perfectly reasonable. I don't know if you have experienced the bird jail list that Siegs is talking about. I certainly have. It's a rare archetype because it's like $1 bajillion to collect. But holy crap, is it like painfully effective to play against. Like you just do not get to move your army. And that's... I say movement wins games, so not moving loses games.
It does lose games. If you get locked in your deployment zone, you're going to have a bad time.
Let's play the world's smallest violin for these AdMech players who finally have to play the game the real way.
We've been playing the game the hard way the entire edition. Okay. If you got a codex that bad, you would be tears. So Sulphur Hounds go down 5 points here. They go back to where they originally were. I'm still not a huge fan of them. Infiltrators, Ruststalkers don't change, which is good news because I think they're at a great spot right now, and I think those guys are, just good in all different lists, not just Hunter cohort, but they're the best there. The Marshal doesn't go down or stays the same, and the Rangers stay the same. That's great news as well. Both great data sheets. Vanguard go up 5. Now there's a 10-point difference between Rangers and Vanguard. It's reasonable because Vanguard are significantly better.
Sure are. OC0 is a hell of a roll.
I think you're going to see probably more of a mix now, probably like 2 and 2. Or for the list that we're going 6 Vanguard, they'll probably go like a 3 and 3 split now. No changes to the Disintegrator and the Dune Rider. That's good news for me because I love those units and they're my favorites. Would like to see a little drop here on the Sidonian Dragoons. I think they're a little bit overcosted right now. But the Scatros, Nick, the Sidonian Scatros.
Is that the Stiltsman?
That is Stiltsman, who I've never painted or played yet. However, he is finally cheap enough where I probably will consider running him.
That's wonderful. I want Stiltsman on the table ASAP.
He is now the cheapest lone operative in the game at 50 points. The Lictor was 55. Now he's 50.
He's tied with the Sanctus Siegs.
Oh, the Sanctus is a lone op?
50, yeah.
A native lone op, or do you have to be? Okay, so 2 cheapest lone ops in the game, and I've never seen a Sanctus on the table in 10th edition.
Doesn't do anything.
So he's going to join the Scatros in just 2 dudes not doing anything, but they're cheap. So you might actually see this guy now. Then the Dominus, Enginseer, Manipulus all go down 5. Dominus should have definitely went down more. The Enginseer 55, he's getting a little closer. He gives 5 of pain to a vehicle, can heal. He's a little bit more interesting for some of these vehicle-heavy builds. And then no changes to the enhancements. So overall, I think that this is basically a small nerf to Skitarii Hunter cohort, but I think the big miss here is it's not a real buff to Datasom, Cybernetica, the other detachments that really do need a buff. So hopefully in the next balanced data slate, they'll look more at those detachments because I think points alone aren't really going to bring them up to Skitarii Hunter cohort anyway.
Nice, exciting stuff here.
Titanicus is relevant.
Oh, it's come on, Steve. We got to focus on that.
Irrelevant.
Oh, man. It's not irrelevant? Chapter Master Ballsack, who just gifted 50 Art of War 40k memberships. What a hero of the Imperium of the channel. Thank you, Chapter Master Ballsack.
Chapter Master Ballsack is one of our beloved friends, and guess what? If you ever want to see him in a battle report on the Art of War channel, you can go back a couple weeks on the YouTube channel, and he was playing his Orks against my Votann. Awesome member of the community. Thank you so much, John. We really appreciate your support. And if you were gifted us up, make sure you click that accept button. There should be a notification on your account. And with it, you'll get access to our awesome international Discord community.
And real quick, I just want to address Kelvin Vornveld's €2 super chat. The Silent King finally a Triarch and Phalanx words with the nobles. Yeah, that's a nice buff for the Necrons. We're going to cover that more in the rules changes, but I'm sure Siegs will get there when we get to Necrons. But thank you for your support for the channel and your super chat.
Absolutely will. And then Mr. Fellblade, his super chat is related to GSC, in which he says GSC would get nerfs after recent... He thought GSC might get some nerfs after the recent success of certain builds out there in the meta. And he's asking, are people ready for them? And will their success level off, or is the buff unwarranted?
That remains to be seen. I think the buff was warranted. Like, the Codex has some major problems, despite it doing well, mostly in the team setting, a little bit in singles. But I'm really excited. We'll cover that as soon as we get to GSC too. Thank you for your support.
Thanks so much. All right, the Eldari here.
There's a game with Eldari in the war room right now. You can watch. Quentin tried all kinds of new exciting units that went down, like the Falcon and the Shining Spears and the Wave Serpent and Wraith Blades. What an army. But yeah, you can see basically all of the data sheets that have been the problem data sheets, all edition, the Wraith Knight, the Warp Spiders, the Swooping Hawks, you name it. None of those got touched this time. I think they finally...
The Wraith Knight did get touched. Small.
We'll cover that. Most of them are, they've been hit enough times. They're kind of okay. The Wraith Knight has had enough hits, not only through his points cost, but also to the way that his mechanics work. Fate dice, towering, all those rules just are not what they used to be. And then I'm glad they didn't completely just ignore Eldar, because Eldar was a little bit on the struggle bus, and they buffed the units that basically were never taken or very seldom taken. So, of course, Void Reavers went down. Of course, Void Scarred went down. I don't know that you're going to see either.
I've looked at those data sheets many times as a Drukhari player, and they do nothing.
Yeah, they probably not going to see those. But a Falcon at 130 is pretty interesting. A Fire Prism 170, still pricey, but I tell you, Quentin ran 3 of them against me yesterday, and they were highly effective.
They're a great data sheet. Other armies with lower anti-tank would kill to have the Fire Prism.
If you didn't have a surplus of anti-tank options in Eldar, you would auto-run 3, but you have options. Shining Spears went down to 90, makes them a great skirmisher. They can pretty easily pick up 5 Space Marines from a pretty far away distance by just missiling them in. Warlocks went down. Warlock Skyrunners went down. I don't know that you're really going to see much of those because they don't do too much, but I'm glad they're getting some love. Serpent at 110, let me tell you, Siegs, I think the Serpent at 110 is a sleeper pick, and I want to run a list with 5 of them.
Ooh, Serpent Spam. It's been a long time since Serpent Spam existed.
I'm really excited for the Serpent Spam. I want to mess around with some builds there. We've got Wraith Blades and Wraith Guard going down for their 5-mans, not their 10-mans. And this is something that we're starting to see GW do a little bit more in this balanced data slate, where the cost for 5 models is not strictly half the cost of 10 models. They're a little incrementally different based on what weapon and war gear you get or synergies you can put on them. So I like that 5 models went down for each of those. And then the Wraith Knight going down, I don't like, but whatever.
It's still almost 500 points. It's going to be fine.
You're not really going to see a Wraith Knight.
Well, especially with Fire Prisms at this cost, take 3 Fire Prisms, please.
Yeah. Oh my God, comparatively, that's just better. Then we've got Super Baharath with a $5 super chat. What's the best into Thousand Suns right now? Is it Exorcist? Exorcists are really good in 1,000
That's
Suns.
Probably one of their hardest matchups is triple Exorcist Sisters.
Yeah.
Don't want any of that.
There are definitely some nerfs to 1,000 Suns coming up that we're going to talk about, though. So maybe there's going to be some more counters to 1,000 Suns than just that.
Absolutely. So thanks so much for your super chat. All right, we got Index Astra Militarum here. So they get a couple nerfs, but a couple buffs. So big one here is that Bulgrin go up 40 points for 6-man unit.
Yeah,
which
that's a big one.
Is significant.
I mean, pretty much every guard list, at least in the singles meta, ran 18 Bulgrin that I saw. And that's 120 points on 3 squads. That's not nothing. That is a real nerf. And I think that was well-deserved. Bulgrin were kind of crazy.
Yeah, they were basically budget Deathwing Knights, but better in certain circumstances, which is saying a lot.
on command. move 9. Like, what are we doing?
So not surprised to see this nerf. The other nerf is the tank commander, which went up something like 20 or so points. And with that, it did in the FAQ gain access to squadron, which means the tank commander can order itself now. So Leontis isn't stuck ordering the tank commanders, which the tank commanders then order the nearby tanks. You can have a little bit more flexibility in the order. So that's a pretty big deal. And the tank commander has been good throughout. So you'll probably almost always see one of them for sure with the Grand Strategist, even with the points increase. And then the field ordnance battery, the heavy weapons squad go down a bit. Ogryn squad. So Ogryn are similar to Bulgrin. They're not -1 damage, and they don't have a 4-up invuln, but they're relatively durable and annoying to kill, and they actually have they're kind of like flash gits with their guns.
They have a ridiculous gun. Like, let me tell you, they can get up to 6 shots each at strength 5, AP2. Like,
AP1. Okay, yeah, can it get 8?
It can get AP2, I'm pretty sure. Like,
oh, yeah, they use
shredding
fields of fire,
infantry.
yes.
They're durable. You might see this as a new replacement or at least augment to Bulgrin. So instead of running 18 Bulgrin, you run like 6 Bulgrin, 12 Ogryn or something like that. You might even just see 18 Ogryn. Like 360 for 18 of those bodies is not bad.
Yeah, just having a lot of T6 bodies, it's just annoying for most people to deal with.
Like 5 armor is not great, but it's still 3 wounds each. It's
6 of Feel No Pain.
Oh, God.
So those guys are pretty decent winners, and I haven't seen regular Ogryn
ever.
Like, I've seen the Ogryn bodyguard, but not the regular Ogryn just hanging around. Then Scout Sentinels get a little bit of a decrease as well, probably to make up for they're doing a little bit less with less indirect fire being relevant. And that's pretty much Guard. I think Guard are one of the big winners here in that, yes, Bulgrin got nerfed and the tank commander a bit, but it also got buffed at the same time. Guard haven't really paid the points for the lethal hits on their vehicles.
You know what we also haven't really talked about all either?
Yeah.
Tempestus Aquilons. That's a unit now.
I was about to get to it. Go ahead.
What were they thinking with this unit?
If you're not familiar, it came out in the Hivestorm box, which is a kill team box, and then 40k rules were released for it maybe like a week and a half ago. And with it, they are a 90-point unit that's 3.1 away.
Yeah, 3 inches away, which is like a very, very powerful mechanic. And then it shoots really hard. And because that wasn't enough rules, when it shows up, it just shoots you with its flamer. So that happens in your turn on an ingress. That happens on their turn in the moon phase. Then they shoot their flamer in the shooting phase the real way. It's just such a stupidly good unit. And it's cheap as chips.
Even stronger is the shenanigans you can do with rapid ingress on it. And also you can revive it.
Oh, don't tell me that. I don't need this coming
There's layers
twice.
Of nonsense.
Oh.
So
yeah, so I mean, like, you might
see
see different guard lists, which I think is good because guard lists could use some diversity. Bulgrin getting nerfed was awesome, but they have made up for it in a lot of ways. They are one of the strongest armies out there right now.
Sisters getting nerfed and Thousand Sons getting nerfed is one of the, and Astra Militarum, yeah, Bulgrin got nerfed, but like the rest of the army is pretty damn strong. So I think they're one of the biggest winners here for sure.
It's kind of crazy because they're still just an index attachment, but it is a rock solid
They have
index.
buffed it multiple times, though.
Yeah, they really have.
They've buffed orders. They buffed access to the lethal hits and stuff. So
now Ogryn.
Yeah, now you get Ogryn spam. Get some more boxes of Ogryn. All right, so moving on to Black Templars. So their biggest nerf here is to Crusader spam, which was a list that performed well in teams, but also with singles as well. So Crusaders, I believe it goes up 40 points for the full 20 bodies, which is a lot. So if you were running 5, even 6 of these bricks, 6 was pretty rare, but 5 was relatively common. That is a lot of points.
Yeah, 50 points a unit, 5 units, 250 on your army, then Chaplain Grimaldus went up. Yeah.
And Hellbrick
went up. I mean, the 100 body Black Templar, Black Tide was kind of broken and really stupid to play against. And now it's gone.
It was a modeling nightmare as well.
Yeah. I'm big happy about this one. I'm sure the Black Templars players of the world are going to be sad. But you know what? You play Space Marines and you have a vast array of data sheets, which are all great.
Yeah, they haven't touched Sword Brethren here, which is one of their best data sheets, period. And the Marshal and the Castellan, which are their kind of captain and lieutenant equivalents, go down a bit because they have worse war gear options than the basic captains from Space Marines. So it just gives you a little bit more reason to run the actual,
those are cheap characters.
Models. Yeah, those are cheap characters.
You know, Castellan 60, Extinctus is 50. Still spans 50.
I think there's going to be some decent things that Black Templars can do with some heavy intercessors that we'll get to in a second.
I do love me some heavy intercessors.
All right, cool. So that's Black Templars. Definitely a nerf to that particular style, but other Black Templar like Gladius builds don't really change that much. Blood Angels. So Blood Angels, this is their
finally got points.
This is their Codex points. So this is the first time that we're seeing this. So Astarath is now 105 for him. He on the charge, you get the dev wounds and you get 4 fight on death. It's a pretty darn good character. 105 is decent for what you get. Ball Predator goes up about 10 points here. A little surprising because they're not like that amazing, but they're okay. The Blood Angels captain is 80 points, perfectly reasonable. Mephiston doesn't change. So he stays at 125. He is probably the best lone op in the game, I would say. He has advance and charge axes natively. He's super durable. He's a lone op. And then in addition to that, he has a trap you in combat type ability. That is super, super strong. So I'm pretty darn happy about that because Mephiston is my favorite of the Blood Angels, and he's not going anywhere, let me tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you also see a lot of points drops all over the place. We got Death Company Captain now at 70, Death Company with Captain with Jump Pack at 85, Death Company Dreadnought, who no longer does what he used to do, at 180.
He's also got a big new model too.
Well, does he? That's right.
Yeah, he's not a baby. He's not a baby Dreadnought.
Death Company coming down, but of course, let's keep in mind the context. They don't just all have Power Fists and Thunder Hammers now.
Or Inferno Pistols.
And then...
So they drop 40 points. They used to be 280 for the older version. So 240 is a drop, but it's not like a significant
It's
one.
weird because it says up on this, but this is relative to the points in the back of the book, not
in the
we were
codex.
Just playing with on the index.
Yeah, so it's a little bit awkward. Lamarte's, he ends up going down based on the previous MFM points, but only a little bit. He's still going to be very good. I think him plus 10 Death Company with jump packs is almost as close to an auto take as you're going to get here. I still think it's a really, really good unit.
I think we're all really curious what Sanguinary Guard would cost since they are now 3 wound models, and 135/270 I think is a pretty appropriate point cost.
Yeah, I probably can see this going down a little bit further in the future because at the end of the day, their 2 main melee buffs or defensive buffs are melee only. So the -1 to wound, the -1 to hit, only in melee. And that's going to be a pretty big deal. But they have a 4-up invul now. They're 3 wounds, Armor of Contempt. They still hit really hard. And I really quite like this unit still. So you're definitely going to see them with Dante and possibly a second squad in a lot of lists. So great to see them back on the table because we haven't been seeing them, period, in most lists. Sanguinary Priest and the Sanguinor stay the same. And then a couple changes to the different enhancements here. But overall, we're going to find out about Blood Angels. We are playing the new rules today on the live stream game at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to check out the Blood Angels, come on over, hang out, and watch them up against next GSC. It's going to be really exciting. So you just need reps. When you get a new army, new points, you just got to get reps and find out what is the most efficient choices and what works in the meta.
Absolutely. I'm really excited for this game.
100%.
Demons, my favorite. They got so much love. They got 5 points off of a Beast of Nurgle, which, every time it gets 5 points cheaper, eventually you'll take it. It's fine. Shalaxi went from 450 to 425, which I mathed out. Now she went from 22.5% of your army to 21% of your army. Check that out.
Strong.
And then we got a Red Master on Bloodthrower on one of our actually good data sheets. He went up 15
points, yeah.
So very, very unexciting changes to demons. I honestly thought they were going to take nerfs in a lot of places. Not a lot of places, but like the Great and Clean one and stuff. Data sheets you see very consistently. Because they have a high win rate, but they still have all the fundamental problems they've always had, in that the only way to kill anything is with big monsters or stacking Ren Masters on Khorne units, which has a lot of issues and is now more expensive. I'm a little heartbroken that my demons didn't get more love, but that's just me. They're still fine, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like the Great Unclean One data sheet not changing and going up is pretty good news, because that's the thing that stands out is the 4 Phenopane Great Unclean One. That guy's level of durability is something beyond most things, I guess, except for Drukhari. They easily kill it.
Wow. The stream's over. Shut it down.
Like some of this stuff, like a Hellflayer, I've not seen like most of this stuff, and like even just an extra 5 points. I know most stuff has gone down, but just another 5 points here or there for stuff you literally have never seen. I just don't even know what that does. I could not even guess.
Nothing.
But yeah, at least the meta's gone down around them, which does help a lot. Sisters getting nerfed really does help.
Yeah,
demons.
I mean, like, demons could not even play a game of Warhammer with sisters, really, and now they really can. So that's exciting.
Oh, Vic wouldn't like to hear that.
Don't even start with me.
Okay, then we have Index Chaos Knights. We've got Knight Abominant, Desecrator, Despoiler. These are big knights going down. Once again, this is the typical thing of Chaos Knights. However, for the first time, they didn't get random increases to the Carnivore or Brigand. The Brigand, in fact, went down 5 points. So most Chaos Knight lists are going to get back 25, 30 points. And that'll basically go into Demon Allies, most likely, or an enhancement.
The Stalker also went down.
Yep.
That's a data sheet you had to take if you're not running the big knights. The big knights all came down. I was kind of surprised to see this. Like, in every balanced data slate, the Brigand goes up 5 and, like, some other useless knight comes down. But no, this is just all buffs for Chaos Knights, which I think they like need at this point. They are like hanging on to the same exact play style, same exact index, no real changes, all addition. It's getting worse and worse and worse. But now the top of the meta has come down a little bit, and they're getting a little buffs. So I feel some love for these dudes.
Yeah, exactly. Once again, this is kind of similar to Custodes in my mind, where it's not really about this here, it's about everything around it that's going to be more significant.
Right.
Chaos Space Marines.
This is a faction that got a lot of changes. Holy bojangles. So we all expected Accursed Cultists to get nerfed. They've been a dominating force, and they're kind of a silly archetype. But I like how they did it. Basically, if you want to take the baby 8-man Accursed Cultist unit, that's the same, whatever. If you want to take the 16-man, that went up just a tiny bit, 5 points. And that's like, wow, nothing happened. But let's scroll down just a tiny bit to that Dark Commune down there. That went from 55 to 80. So now across the package of Max Accursed Cultist unit plus Dark Commune, you're up 30 points on your package. So across 3 packages, that's 90
I think it was
points
65.
on your army. It was 65? Okay,
Yeah,
so
20 points.
20 points on your army. Still very not nothing. But then, we've got a lot of buffs all over the place to exactly the data sheets that pretty much never got taken or didn't get taken excitingly enough. Abaddon coming down to 280 is really nice. He's still a little pricey, but he is not that durable despite being an amazing damage dealer and force multiplier. So he's a little tough to use like that. So I like that point cost. Predator Annihilator needed to come down. The fact that it was the same as the Destructor was just ridiculous. Chaos Terminators came down 5 points for 5. That's lovely. We go back up. We got Havocs coming down to 125 from 135. I just ran 15 Havocs in the War Room yet today. You can catch that game in Quentin's Eldar. And let me tell you, they outshot the 3 Fire Prisms. They are amazing. I love these things. My lists, if I'm playing an army or a detachment like Packbound or Renegade Raiders, which supports Havocs, will pretty much just have 15 Havocs with las cannons in it. This is actually good anti-tank, I'm telling you. Then we've got Legionnaires. The 10-man went down, but the 5-man stayed the same. So while this looks like a buff, it's functionally not a thing because you only ever take the 5-mans on Legionnaires. The 10 doesn't give you any extra weapons or anything. It's just 5 more
Oh, it
bodies.
doesn't give you extra combat weapons?
No, it does not.
Okay, well, it's like Scourges.
It's exactly like Scourges. Lord Discordant on Hellstalker, he came down. He's still kind of bad, but I like that he came down. Blitz came down to 160. That's a unit that just keeps on coming down. They started it out at 190. Enough buffs on your points cost does make a unit more approachable. So
Yeah.
we're picking those up.
Unit wins, LGT goes down. I mean, clear.
That's the top meta at LGT has come down in points, folks. I don't know what's going on over in Europe, but man, CSM and Orks, who knew? Possessed came down 120 for 5. Possessed is actually like a pretty interesting price point. I ran 2 into 5 just to try them out against Quentin yesterday. You can catch that game now. They were actually quite nice. I like 5-man Possessed these days. Raptors going down on the 10-man, like whatever. Sorcerer and Terminator armor going down to 80. That's actually really nice. I love including this guy's little tech piece. He increases your AP. So against those Armor of Contempt factions, you have an AP issue and you can't actually kill them that effectively. He kind of fixes that. So that's really nice as a tech piece that you can now afford. Vashtor went down 15. I ran him yesterday, or in today's game rather. And he did some work. He is fine. He's a decent guy.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that I think it's Soulforged. He gained a bunch of FAQ updates to work with the rules in there. Because previously he was kind of just left out.
Yeah, that's true. Not taking Vashtor in the Soulforged army was definitely sad. And then Warp Talons went down to 125 for 5, still 270 for 10. I like that a lot. I think the 5-man Talon at 135 was very pricey. And I think 5 Talons actually has a nice value as a little scalpel unit.
Yeah, like 10 cultists on objective. All right, let's just get rid of them for relatively cheap.
Right, and then just put them in the 5-man loop. It's nice. Overall, I'm really excited for the CSM. I think this army got substantially better despite a Cursed Cultist nerfs.
The biggest one we didn't mention here is there's an FAQ update or a core rules update to Blood Surge moves where you can't just infinitely Blood Surge. It's once per phase per unit.
That's right. So Blood Surge on Cultists got nerfed.
They're still a good, like they didn't go up that much where it's you can't run them anymore. You can still run them. They're just not as abusive as they were previously.
And you might see more diversity in CSM by virtue of their other units did actually come down. So you have other options to explore. And I think that's really good. And Havocs are amazing. I'm telling you.
You're telling us?
I'm telling you.
Did you show us?
I showed you. The Havocs, no joke, were the best part of my list yesterday. You should definitely check out the Worm and find out how.
Awesome. And I put that link in the description here. So Codex Dark Angels here. Azrael goes up finally. Only 10 points, but he was one of the best characters in the entire game and was at a ludicrously low cost. So he's a bit more expensive now, but still straight up auto take for Dark Angels. That's not going to change. And then Deathwing Knights here go up from 235 to 250. So a decent increase, but at the end of the day, if you love Deathwing Knights, if you love their durability, you're still going to run some amount of them. Probably what you're going to see, because Inner Circle Companions, which is the secret sauce of Dark Angels, this unit is ludicrous. Just seriously, roll this unit out against anything, and you're like, oh my god.
It's dead.
Oh my god. Put a Judiciar in there if you want, or another character like a Librarian, and they do amazing work. So if you just drop one Deathwing Knight unit, make it Inner Circle Companions, play around with some cheap stuff, and get a character for it,
it's the same list.
Is the same list.
You also, 15 points on a Deathwing Knight squad really is just not that much.
It's like 10 points on a Castigator.
Okay.
You acknowledge that it's strong, but you're still taking it.
You saw some points drops in places where you wanted them, like the Ravenwing contingent got some, Landspeeder Vengeance, Samael, and the Ravenwing Command Squad all got points drops, which is kind of nice. You don't really ever see Ravenwing, and I think that's like a whole identity of this faction, which I would love to see on the table. So I'm glad they're getting some love. I don't know that it's going to outclass the Deathwing still. I mean, Deathwing went up, Ravenwing went down, so you would hope, but Deathwing is just something else, man.
They are amazing. And then Lionel Johnson here goes down to 285. And I believe Gilliman is also going down to a similar price when we get to Space Marines. So definitely some decreases here to the Imperium Primarchs, which basically are not really seen that often, except for our good friend Thomas Bird, who's insistent. He's insistent on the Gilliman. But I think Lionel Johnson has an interesting data sheet. This might be the point where you start to see him more.
He's a lone op. He absolutely murders you in combat, and he fights first. For 285, he is pricey, but he's got a lot of good things going on him.
He's got some very interesting things, and then his aura abilities are pretty interesting. So I'd be excited to see him because I have not played against him yet, and his model is amazing. So would love to see him on the table. Okay, Death Guard here. The Biologus Putrefier goes down a little bit. Big one here is Death Shroud Terminators continue to go down. And 6 for 220 is the point where you gotta start running these.
These are actually just over 35 points a model.
Some of the cheapest Terminators in the game.
And also some of the strongest Terminators in the game. Move slow does suck.
Rapid Ingress is your friend.
You didn't need to do that. But you will do that. And then hopefully you don't fail your now 5-inch charge. And then you're good. You're there once you hit your charge.
Just start hitting charges, get near objectives. That's all you got to do.
Mortarian's also 300.
Mortarian has continued to go.
How cheap can you go with the
he's
18
cheaper than
a pain buff monster Primarch?
Eventually, he's going to be a great unclean one cost.
That's when he gets to 230. We're spamming wordies.
But this is the Plague Marine centric build has been the dominant way. But with Brigands going down, now they compete more favorably with Plague Burst Crawlers, and then Death Shroud Terminators definitely compete with Plague Marines now. So this should really help the internal diversity of Death Guard, for sure.
Yeah, I really think you might just start to see Death Guard lists that don't all look the same, and that's really exciting to me. I'm curious if you'll run Mortarian now 300. That's pretty cheap for what you get.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, then heading over to Drukhari, which was the best army in the game. Chat insisted.
It really depends who you ask.
Well, Chat was insistent. Right. And guess what? we were like, they need buffs. They're one of the weaker armies in the game.
They got buffs. Look at the Hellions.
And so Games Workshop said, no, we're going to go by the stats and nerfed. So Drukhari lists are going up somewhere between 80 and like 160 points on the high end.
Oh, poor Scary.
So this is a real nerf. This is a real nerf. Archon going up 10 points, Beastmaster 15 for that, which is
120 for a move block. That's pricey.
Well, that gives up Assassinate in the early game. I don't like it anymore personally. Court of the Archon goes up as well, 10. So between the Archon and the Court, you're going up 20 points on those units. Drazar gets a 10-point nerf here.
Incubi get nerfed.
Incubi are nerfed as well.
Lilith deserved it.
10 points on Lilith, totally reasonable. She was really great and she's great at 95. You're still always taking her. Mandrake's up 5 points. They're one of the better infiltrating uppy-downy units, so 100%, I can see that. And then Reavers go up 5 for the 3-man, but the 6-man stays the same. Also perfectly reasonable. Scourges don't get a change here. And then the stuff that I love, which are Rax, Talos, Chronos, that stuff stays the same. So at the end of the day, if you were running the Sky Splinter, like double court, 3 Incubi bricks with the Archons and a Lilith unit, and then 3 Mandrakes, your list went up a good amount.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you can cut 1 court, you can get more stuff in from that, and it's not really the end of the world, frankly.
I really think that there's still good lists in Drukhari. Like, most of the stuff you ran, Siegs, did not change.
My list barely changed.
Yeah.
Lilith went up, and Mandrakes and Reavers went up.
I know Scary just wrote a list very similar to yours as well, and I think that might be the direction that many Drukhari lists shift. This feels like a nerf that's targeted towards the specific things that Sky Splinter medalists do, and
yeah, the 30
I don't rate
Incubi
that list very highly, but UW certainly did, and the stats certainly did. So, understandably, they nerfed it. But they didn't ruin the faction. They just nerfed that specific list, kind of like Sisters. They didn't need the Sisters treatment, but they got some of it. And
yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in here that didn't change. And guess what? I'm going to be playing it next week. I'm continuing the Drukhari trend.
Are you going to go for that coveted now 11-0?
I will. I'm going to beat Quinn's Death Guard.
Oh, not Quinn's Death Guard.
I'm not stopping. My Scourges are going to pop off, Nick, okay?
They are. That's your table Quinn's Death Shrouds with Scourges. It's going to be horrible.
Guaranteed he's going to run the 3 Plague. He's going to go back to the 3 Plague Burst Crawlers just for this game. I'm not even going to care. That's what the kind of man I am.
That's good.
The homunculus that I am.
Genestealer Cults, the Forearm Friends, the hype is so real. Oh my god, folks. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Genestealer Cult were bemoaned to be the worst army in the game since they got a codex, which was super true. But then they got a stealth buff, which really helped. And the fact that when you go into your blip system after you die, instead of trying to come back to life in the back corner of your table and being stuck there if you got to show up at all, you now just go in Deep Strike. Now, that was a huge buff in and of itself from an FAQ that we received in like August. And that kind of made GSC like a playable, moderately interesting faction. If you're a really good player, you can do well with it if you practice the reps in. Now we got some points drops along with it. So Aberrants, the 5-man Aberrant package, which was all the rage in the Biosanctic list, went from 150 to 135. So you save 45 right off the bat on your Aberrants. Acolytes with auto pistols, Acolytes with hand flamers, and Neophytes all went down 5 points for a min squad and 10 points for a max squad. And if you're running like an Outlander Claw list or a Host of Ascension list,
basically any list,
you're going to run a lot of those. I mean, I run 9 battle line units in my current Host of Ascension list, all of which went down 5 to 10 points. I saved 50 points right off the bat by taking my list the same way. Jackals went down 10. Icon Ward went down 10. Those are data sheets you want to take, and that's love that I need. The Benefactus at 70 is the point where I might actually look at him.
What does it do?
It joins a unit and gives it lethal hits, which can be really powerful in certain detachments like Host of Ascension, which can stack crit 5s on there. And you can give it a relic for +1 to hit. He also has a D3 shot las cannon, so, that's not 0 damage. For 70 points, he's a little fragile. He's Assassinate. Everything is kind of 60 to 70 points in Genestealer Cult still, so there is opportunity cost. But he is something you can look at. The Jackal Alphas at 55, probably still not going to take him, but he is definitely cheaper. Patriarch went down 10. He didn't need to go down 10. I'm not going to complain about that. And the Primus went down 10. Like, these are literally the characters I took and the units I took and the units.
Good stuff.
All of the good things got cheaper. The only things that I didn't see get cheaper that I would have maybe liked is some of the other useless characters like the Sanctus. The Goliath truck could have gone down. 85 for basically a Rhino is very steep. Rock Grinder at 120 is probably fine. Metamorphs are probably fine. Like, I'm really excited to play this faction. And so excited, in fact, that I'll be playing it later today with Biosanctic Detachment I haven't really tried out. But I'm going to be making use of all the aberrant buffs. I'm going to be making use of the Abominants. I'm going to be making use of the Patriarch getting cheaper. These infantry units getting cheaper. I'm so excited. This faction has really got all 4 of its legs on the ground now.
Yeah, this is pure upside for GSC. Because when you look at a buff and you see the changes to like the quote-unquote worse units, sometimes your list ends up not really changing that much. But this is core units that you're running multiple of going down, which means you just get points at every single list pretty much.
This is fantastic. Like, no matter what GSC list you're playing, you're operating with like 50 to 150 more points. And that is really, really exciting.
That's significant.
And when you
because they have a lot of stuff already.
Right. Oh my God, the amount of stuff I got. And when you consider the rest of the game kind of got nerfed, at least the top end of it, life is looking good for our formed friends.
Absolutely. So all upside there. Tune in later at 1 p.m. Eastern time to catch the new GSC up against new Blood Angels.
Grey Knights.
So Grey Knights here, they get a 10-point decrease on 5-man Terminators, but not on the 10-mans, which is not surprising because 5-mans are pretty rare. You see them from time to time, but 10-mans are the main way to play them. Same thing for Paladins. I think you'll see potentially more lists that run 5 Terminators plus Libby as just a good OC package.
It also gives the Libby like some solid protection.
Absolutely, and he doesn't just on a 1 potentially destroy his own self.
Yeah.
And then the Purgation Squad goes down a bit further. It took a big nerf last time, specifically because you couldn't indirect fire Flamers, Torrent weapons anymore. Right. So that goes down. This is basically Grey Knights benefiting mostly from other armies.
I mean, if you look at the meta Grey Knight list, like, they didn't run 5-man Purifiers or Paladins. They didn't run Purgations. So in theory, the Grey Knights army is the same. Yep. But you might have some more build options with these points drops if you want to do something a little bit different.
And the meta's coming down around them, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
Imperial Agents. Nothing changes here except for allies. If you ally in Subductor Squads, which were the low cost of 85 points for 10 4-up invul models and an 11 dog, now they are 100 points.
The dog doesn't get a 4-up invul?
No, it's the only one that's excluded from it.
Sad.
But that's the last model I would kill personally because the dog is...
You don't kill the dog.
You don't do that. You just leave the dog. So the Subductor Squad goes up to 100, up 15 points, which at the end of the day is perfectly reasonable for that. Now it's not a straight up just auto take for Imperium lists like Knights. Knights probably still end up taking some amount of them, but it's not, okay, I just start every list with at least 2 squads of these.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is...
You might think.
You could have seen more buffs to Agents of the Imperium since they're brand new, but I think we're also just going to leave them be the Agents of the Imperium.
This guy over here, where is he? The Vindicare Assassin at 150 for ally.
What is that?
He's the worst. He's still the worst assassin. If you can't stay out of line of sight of a 7-inch moving character with your characters, you're intentionally putting them in line of sight. That's just it.
Yeah, they take a Vindicator.
150 is insane.
For 150 points, and you say, okay, my character will stand behind a wall. Which, I don't know if you've played 40k lately, but there's walls everywhere.
I'm already standing them behind walls. I don't want them getting epic challenge, Nick.
Right, I know. Or just shot the old-fashioned way. Like, it doesn't have to be a Vindicator sniping your character. It could be like the rest of their army killing
your unit. It's literally ludicrous.
Like, and I don't know.
So
I don't know.
That was the biggest surprise. Like, just make it 120. Like, just give it a decent decrease, not even a playable decrease, but whatever.
Clown Mode's playable with his $5 super chat. Bless the forearm member. Thank you so much, Clown Mode.
Blessed indeed.
Shekel has just become a warrior member. Thank you so much, Shekel. I hope you enjoy the content.
He joined at the silver tier, so he's going to get access to that CSM versus Eldar game right now.
Yeah, you are.
Heck yeah. Hope you enjoyed the game. Thanks so much for joining. Imperial Knights. So Canis Rex, I believe he's 435, so he went up 15 points. He's straight up an auto take as an ally or as Imperial Knights. And then the Knights that I've never seen. I have technically seen the Valiant on the table, to be fair. But outside of that, the Valiant, Castellan go down, and then the Errant and the Gallant, which are the more melee-centric ones, go down. Probably not really changing much. Knight players are actually losing points because 15 points on each Subductor Squad, plus 15 on Canis Rex. Most of the Knight lists are going to go up like 45 points
I genuinely think Knights are the worst army in the game, and I'm really disappointed that this is the treatment they got.
Yeah, they need more. Good news for them, though, is they have a codex on the horizon next year.
That's good.
The Games Workshop said that Knights will be one of those first 3 next year. They need it.
I really hope they get an exciting codex, because like you have such a limited array of datasheets, which are all kind of the same datasheet with different weapons, so they really need to have the detachments do the work here.
Yeah, the detachments, and really think about the synergy between big Knights and little Knights. They need something much more interesting going on there.
Yeah,
personally.
So time will tell with that.
All right, Leagues of Votann. Jaegers go up from 80 to 90.
As they should.
5-man Hearthguard go down 10 points.
As they shouldn't.
You love the 5-man Hearthguards.
See, why are you running 3x5 Hearthguard? Why are they getting cheaper?
I've only been running 2x5, to be fair. Okay. So my list goes up, or it goes down 10 points, which doesn't doesn't get me anything. I have a 10-point gap in my list now. There's nothing I can change. That's the sad part, is like whoever works on Leagues of Votann needs to actually write lists with them, because they have a very weird like 10 to 40 point gap where you can't do anything with it.
Dude, my GSC list from DreamHack was 1980.
So it's like,
just like I can't fill that.
In Age of Sigmar, that's actually not the end of the world, because they have those triumph abilities where you get some little cool thing if you have less points than your opponent. But 40k doesn't have that, so you just sit there with it.
It makes you nerf proof for the future, you know.
Really would have liked to see a decrease here for the Thunderkin, and then certainly for Uthar. Uthar could have gone down another 5-10 points, and maybe like 5-point drop on the Grimnir here. Maybe 5 points off on the Warriors. Would have liked to just see something else alongside that to give Votann just a little bit more.
Yeah, they're still a very solid faction. Though.
They are super solid. They are literally the definition of solid.
Yeah, I would say like the most just a good faction you can think of.
Codex Necrons. So bunch of nerfs here, but some buffs to units that you have never seen this edition. Annihilation Barge. Have not played it a single time this edition. At 105. It becomes more interesting. It's a 4-bin vuln vehicle that is relatively annoying to kill. It doesn't do much damage. It's not really designed for this meta, but it's okay.
Yeah, if we get in a meta where like people have walk around with garbage armor saves a bunch, maybe you can take some
GSC meta, maybe.
Yeah.
Catacomb Command Barge goes down again. At 120, in Awakened Dynasty, you can throw the 4 of Phenopain on him. He can be -1 to wound.
That's a decent price point.
He's decent. +1 OC is a good aura.
I could see him.
Yeah, I think that's really where he fits in. The other ones, not as much. And then we've got Death Marks here. Death Marks go up 5 points.
That's whatever.
So
you'll still run them.
You're still going to run some amount of them. They're still one of the better 3.108 units.
Great in Hypercrypt.
Super good. And then Doomsday Arc goes down 10 points.
How did this go down? It didn't need to go down. 10 points to 190 is not going to break the bank. You're not going to just all of a sudden see 3 Doomsday Arcs ruining the game, but it just didn't need to go down.
Basically, the double Monolith build will probably pivot. Double Monolith, double Doomsday Arc will pivot to probably 1 Monolith, 3 Doomsday Arcs to save the points on some of the increases elsewhere, which means it's less durable overall. But Doomsday Arcs are just a solid data sheet, and if Deathwing Knights are still hanging around, they're one of the better things for killing them. Sad to see the Ghost Arc not going down. Would have loved to see 10-man Warriors and the Ghost Arc
like be a better package.
Be a better package for what you're getting.
I can get behind that.
Locust Destroyers, so the 1-man unit goes up 5 points. It was one of the
Silo Destroyer was a little silly.
You're seeing this kind of across the game where a lot of the cheap units get like a 5-point increase.
Yeah.
So heavy Locust Destroyers, they go up 5 per.
Oh, that makes me so sad. They didn't need this at all. I love the heavy Locust Destroyers. Now they're worse.
Yeah, I still think you're going to see the Arisen Tyrant 3-man. This isn't enough to stop it.
No.
But solos.
My list that had 9 heavy Destroyers is up 45 just on them.
It's a sizable increase if you were running the 6 to 9 heavy Locust Destroyers for sure. Monolith goes up 25 points. Still good at 400. But running 2 of them is certainly getting pricier. Obelisk goes down. It's pretty useless as a data sheet. Tesseract Vault goes up to 425.
The fact that a Monolith and a Tesseract Vault are still comparable in cost is kind of alarming to me.
The problem with the Tesseract Vault is it's a good data sheet. The problem is it's gigantic. It's so... You cannot move it. You have to run Hypercrypt, and you have to find 3.108 ways to play. To place it.
To play teams, first defend, take table 5, and then basically
then it can move.
You have no terrain on the table, so you can move it wherever you like.
Yeah, but outside of that, it's just hard to actually use. Now, Triarch Praetorians Okay, this is a unit I really love in the lore, but has been completely garbage on the table.
Talk to me about Praetorians.
All right, so they have a bunch of 2 damage weapons. So it's a decent profile. It's a 2 wound T5 body. But what they used to be 125, they're 100 now for a 5-man. And the secret thing here is that the Triarch detachment, the Obeisance Phalanx, that buffs Triarch units, it got a nice change, which is that noble units benefit from the rule. And then the Silent King gain Triarch. So that's really nice. And then it going down to 100 points for 5, I actually quite like them as a skirmisher now. Think of them like a bit better jump pack intercessors. And if you think of them that way, 100 points is a little bit more expensive than where JPI are going to be now. But they are better. And I quite like this. They also have native deep strike. So they're really good rapid ingress to move out, and they reroll charges natively. So they don't have to spend CP against like Vect armies. That's
pretty cool.
I actually quite like them, especially in that detachment.
Maybe we'll see some more Obeisance Phalanx.
I will put an Obeisance Phalanx list back on the table because it is my lore. It's my personal favorite detachment based on the lore. So Silent King, his Praetorians, and the Triarch Stalker are going to be back. I think this is secretly one of the best buffs here for Necrons because the army has a lot of AP1, AP2, and ignores cover is very rare from the rules. This Stalker gives it out. And I think it's going to be seen, especially in Obeisance Phalanx, but it'll be seen in the other lists, I think, more common now.
I'm excited for
Obeisance
110.
Phalanx. 110 feels good for the Stalker now.
I love that they're giving the not only the units that don't see much play some love, but they're giving the units and detachments that don't see any love.
This is what they should have done for AdMech. Where is my Cybernetica buffs?
Be happy for your
I'm happy for the Necrons. Look at this. Nick, BFS. We won BFS. We had prize support. I grabbed 2 Triarch Stalkers so that I would have 3 because I won build and painted. I'm going to go build and paint those other 2 now.
That's great. I'm going to borrow them, play a game on the stream with 3 Triarch Stalkers and then 9 Tomb Spiders, and I'll be a spider boy.
The Necrons are dead, Nick.
The Necrons are not dead. They arise.
They are locked in Crute jail.
Every few years,
could not escape the Crute jail.
They reanimate.
All right, so this is actually a side grade for Necrons because the other armies get worse. Hypercrypt specific builds, the double monolith, double doomsday arc build gets a bit more expensive, Hypercrypt in general, but it's still going to be good. It's still going to be good.
Just imagine 18 scarabs, 6 spiders, 3 stalkers, and we just run the spider farm at you.
You can do that in Canoptic Court. It's not terrible.
I'm going to do it.
It's not terrible.
I'm going to do it.
I think the biggest thing going on here for Necrons is that these secret missions have a change that we'll talk about in the next video in more depth, but you can't score primary turn 5 anymore if you take a secret mission. So Hypercrypt is going to get nerfed based on that because it was one of the biggest abusers of turn 4 or turn 5, 40 points. I just have 40 on primary. Get wrecked.
I don't want to put the cart before the horse. John, Jack are going to come in here and talk much about the rules changes overall and how it impacts the game. But yeah,
I think that's more impactful than this.
The Hypercrypt meta was basically like go second, win game, because we don't interact at all. We hold our home field objective for 5 points a turn for 20 primary points. We secret mission it up and we win the game. And that's just not really how it's gonna work anymore. And I love that.
John McCardell, $50 super chat. What a champion.
Cardell, what a hero of the WAD tribe. Orc buffs, just what the Mad Doc ordered. My list down 60 to 100 points. Dread mob incoming. Time to get crumping. John McCardell, thank you so much.
Now, he told us his name is McCardell.
I'm still going to say it wrong.
But he appreciated that we put the extra, pizzazz on it with the Cardell. So he said it's totally fine if we keep calling them that. So McCardell is going to be the way because it just sounds fancy. And he's a fancy guy. So we will get to those orcs, but it is crumpin' time, and we will have updated orcs on the battle reports very, very soon.
We also have Atomic Crispies with a $10 super chat. I'm sorry to jump the gun. I got to go to work. Page 29 of the core rules update regarding visibility in overhanging models and ruins. Is that saying wings don't count for seeing models and ruins?
So yes, what it says is that the parts that overhang the base, so if you have big wings overhanging the base and they're hanging over ruin, they don't count. But you're not drawing visibility unless the wing is fully over the terrain. If it's on the other side of the terrain where they can draw line of sight to it, then yes, they can. But if it's just over the, kind of base of the terrain, it won't count.
Yeah, so like a Magnus whose wing is a little bit over a ruin, that's not going to get you shot.
Or a gun sticking directly out over the base, that's not going to get you shot.
Thanks so much for your super chat, Atomic Crispies. Hope you have a wonderful day at work, and we will continue on.
The thing that this rule, I really like that rule a lot. It was added in the June update, and they changed the wording on it just to clarify it further in this update. I really like that because 40k has a lot of epic models, and being punished for having a cool, awesome epic model with big wings or an awesome gun or a big staff that's hanging out, you shouldn't be punished for that.
Yeah.
And it means that in a lot of situations, you were putting the models in like weird positions to try and stop the staff from hanging over. Now you don't have to worry about that.
I hate that models are better off facing backwards because like their staff is forward and you want that not over the room. Like that's so stupid. That's
it's not cinematic.
So
it doesn't look cool. So it's a huge aesthetic change to the game.
Yeah. And also for those people who are big hobbyists and they enjoy converting their models now, you're less punished for doing so. And I think you should not be punished for being artistic.
100%. Yeah. Codex Orks, here it is. The big amounts of green.
I personally think this is the biggest winner of the
them and GSC for sure.
Yeah, I mean this is a sea of green, and I don't mean the green tide. I mean green points drops. I'm like Orks just got second place at the London GT, like a 500 plus person super major tournament with some of the best players in the world there, and almost every data sheet in that Ork list has gone down. It is actually amazing. So Beast Naga Boys going down. Big Mech coming down. You even saw that guy being run in Brian Sipes' list. Big Mech and Mega Armor down. Big Mega Shock Attack going down. That's good stuff for the Dread Mob. Regular boys, the good old-fashioned Orc boys going down. That's something you see all the time in the Wogtrov armies. Def Tread went down. Def Copt is going down. I'm not quite sure if they're going to see play still, but I love the direction. Gorkanaut going down. The Hunter Rig and the Kill Rig going down. They are so cheap. Like... A Hunter Rig at 135 and a Kill Rig at 155. For what you get out of those data sheets, transport, murder, shooting, melee, movement, like it's awesome. It's in durability. Commandos went down to 120. I love Commandos. I personally would 130 if I was an Orc player. Mega Knobs went down across the board. 2, 3, 5, and 6 models all came down in cost. Now they're basically 35 points per dude.
Back to their old cost.
Yeah.
They don't have 4 Phenopane, they have 5 but this is where they're
not paying for the sins of Bully Boys because Bully Boys aren't what they used to be. Morkanaut down to 80 and Tank Busters down. Tank Busters are a really interesting data
down
sheet
like 20 points too. It's like a significant
Tank Busters are a great data sheet that was like ludicrously overcosted. Now it might just be a good data sheet.
These are huge. Every Orc list was basically running some amount of boys. Beast Naga Boys go down, them plus the Beast Boss is a ludicrously good combo. The Kill Rig had been seen in the meta. Now it's 100%. If you haven't busted out your Kill Rig since 9th, get them out because this is really, really good points cost.
Not only that, Siegs, but there are stealth buffs to Orcs in the rules updates, which John and Jack are going to cover after us. But long story short is like there were some weird interactions that said if you were embarked in your transport and you called the WOG, your war boss wouldn't get extra attacks, things like that. And now that's all gone. If you call the WOG, your army is under the WOG. So you do get your 9 attack war bosses and stuff. And along with all these points drops, you just have such a strong army here. It's still going to play Orcs. It's still going to be like, oh no, I want second against the guns. But honestly, you might just be fine. And
just go first, man.
Just if you go first, like you're going to run people over. This is exciting stuff.
All right, next up, we've got the Codex Space Marines. Apothecary Biologus, who is always seen joining Eradicator squads. He goes up 15 points, I believe. The Eradicators go up 10 points for 6. And then the Fire Discipline enhancement for Gladius goes up 10 points.
The whole package got more expensive.
It's still really good.
It's still really good.
It's probably still going to be seen. It's just more expensive.
310 points gets you an Apothecary Biologus with Fire Discipline, 6 Eradicators. You still get crit 5s with lethal sustained hits with Oath of Moment. Like that's still
you don't need Oath
strong.
hits. 4 reels to hit wound and damage against monsters' vehicles.
You don't even need to go somewhere else.
It's just an amazing rule.
Jump Pack Intercessors went up 5, which I still think...
10.
Oh, they're 10? Okay. At 90, I will bitch less about them, but I still don't like them.
I think this is perfectly fine. The one that stands out is the Blood Angels Liberator Assault Group specifically. Those guys with the extra strength really punch above their weight class.
Yeah.
But the other ones, I think this is actually just a fine points cost for them.
And then things like the Ballistus Dreadnought coming down to 130, I think you might just run 3. Like, that is actually strong anti-tank on a durable platform at 130.
Yeah, it's 2-up save Dreadnought. It's annoying to kill. It's not, like, spectacular. It's competing with the Lancer data sheet, but it's pretty solid. Like 130, you can't be mad about 130.
No, you really cannot be.
Captain of Phobos armor. I don't think I've ever seen a Captain of Phobos armor. It goes down. Okay, heavy intercessors are a big winner here.
Okay, they were already good.
They were already a solid data sheet, and now at 95 points, like just read it.
People don't run heavy intercessors. I don't know why. I think it's just because largely there's lots of good things you can run in Space Marines, and they just haven't been popularized. But
T6
really good.
+1 if they're on an objective, they get +1 save against damage 1, which means they can just go to a 2-up save. It also means stack with cover.
At that point, the only thing that's gonna quickly kill them is like damage 3 plus weapons that are anti-tank kind of weapons, and then you take heavy intercessors as your infantry and you take vehicles as your rest of your army, you're really stressing your opponent's ability to actually kill you, and you're pretty much mitigating all of the 1 damage anti-infantry shots they have.
Yeah, this is a good unit now, and it will be seen for sure. ATV Invader and Invictor Warsuit, they go down. Don't know if we'll end up seeing those, but
at 60 points, I actually don't hate an Invader ATV. I think it's quite interesting. Like it's got a multi-melt, it's got a gun, and it's got 8 wounds or something. It's stupid.
I honestly can't tell you what it does because I've never looked at that data sheet in a while.
Fair enough.
And then the Outrider Squad.
80 points for 3 Outriders is also good.
That's the same it's been. The
Space Marine players are spoiled. This is good.
I think Outriders are not that good.
Fine. Maybe it's my non-Space Marine
I'd rather
eyes.
Pay the 10 extra points for the JPI.
I know there's a lot of Space Marine players in the chat who are going to be bemoaning the fact that they got some nerfs in addition to some buffs because they have such a poor win rate. But I always want to caution you with the win rates. One, they're representative of all of the games played, not just games played by people who are veteran players that know what they're doing. And the Space Marines are the welcome to Warhammer faction, and when you're not good at Warhammer because you're brand new to it, you probably don't win too much, and that drops the win rate dramatically.
If you want to see the power of just a basic Space Marine army, check out the 5-way battle report we released on Monday, where the 5 of us play 1 battle round each of a Space Marine list, not knowing what our other players are going to do, and then playing into Brian's Imperial Knights. And you will see that Space Marines, when played with good players, is a ludicrously strong faction.
Like, half of our team hasn't touched Space Marines in years, and
3 out of the 5.
That really just did not matter.
You got some good data sheets. Please run the good ones.
Yeah. Reavers went down to 75. I see a lot of people excited for this. I think that's okay. There's a lot of Space Marine units in like the Phobos Lieutenant. Is that what it is? The Lieutenant with combi weapon? Phobos Lieutenant with combi weapon?
Yeah, the Lieutenant with combi weapon.
That guy is like a great action monkey, so you're kind of competing with him, and he's a lone op.
And scouts.
So I don't think you'll see Reavers still, but
they're getting closer.
They're getting closer.
Gilliman, what was he, like 350 or something? Maybe he was originally 350 and went down, but he got a sizable decrease. Him and the line are 285. Thomas Bird is happy. I love when Thomas Bird is happy.
Yeah, he's a lovely man.
Storm Speeders all go down. I know John had already like a couple variants of them. I've run one in the past with Death Watch.
Jack was telling me about the Hammer Strike. He was
they are
about
good.
running them in his Blood Angels.
They are a good data sheet.
Suppressors at 75? I love me suppressors.
I love suppressors. I hate the fact that it's impossible to buy them outside of some big box set. There's no individual kit for them, and I want to get them for my Angelic Host Blood Angels now because 75 points is a good 3.1 way target.
We had 9 and we shipped them off to the Great Warp Fire in the sky.
Damn it. Well, that was a long time ago. So yeah, I'm going to try and find some of these. If you have extra suppressors hanging around, message me on the Discord. I'd be happy to answer that and try and get those guys.
That's right.
And then Terminator Assault Squad, regular Terminators go down again, getting more and more.
Vanguard Vets and Jump Packs went up.
I'm honestly shocked with this. And I think the reason is that the Vanguard Vets, they weren't seen in most Marine lists. They were seen specifically in Blood Angels because you could put a Sanguinary Priest with Jump Pack into the Vanguard Vets. They'd have a 5 of Phenopane, 4 up Invuln, 2 wounds apiece, Armor of Contempt. Super annoying unit to deal with, right, Nick?
It was. It really was such a problem.
Then Blood Angels Codex removed the Sanguinary Priest with Jump Pack. So that unit doesn't exist anymore. So I think they just forgot that because Sanguinary Priest, there is a new Sanguinary Priest model. He just doesn't have a jump pack, so he can't go in the jump pack Vanguard Vets.
Space Marines have too many Marine body with jump pack things going on. I don't need them all being points efficient and running straight at me.
This is a head scratcher. I really don't know what's going on here.
I'm good with this change.
I think that is the reason, but it doesn't make sense because the unit that existed doesn't exist anymore. So I don't know. And then Hunter's Instinct goes down. I think Is that the one where you can come in turn 1?
I believe so.
So you can rapid ingress turn 1 or just come in from...
come in reserves turn 1 with your big Thunderbolt unit.
That one's a nerf to Wolf Jail, basically.
Wolf Jail, I still think, is a great army, despite the minor nerfs it's taken. I really wish it got hit harder, but I'm glad it got hit at all, I guess. I think it should have got hit harder.
We'll see with Space Wolves. So... Space Wolves. Bjorn goes up. So he was
insane.
He was the Vector. He's also super durable. He's an annoying data sheet.
He just walks to the middle of the board and makes your life miserable.
Hounds of Mordecai, they go down a little bit. Logan Grimnar was an auto take because once per game he's just like your whole army is better.
Charges. What is that?
Super good.
At 115, you're still gonna auto take him.
You're still taking him.
Long Fangs getting Havoc treatment right here. I like that. Havocs are good. Long Fangs are good.
Probably won't end up seeing them, but for like fluffier, more casual Space Wolf lists, heck yeah, Long Fang's viable.
I mean, fundamentally, Space Wolves competitively right now are some variation of Wolf Jail. So like, if there's no room for Long Fangs because you're taking Thunderwolves, like Long Fangs don't ride Thunderwolves.
No. Skyclaws go down for the 10 and the 15. I didn't even know you could be in 15.
Oh, yeah.
models.
You can get some. This is what Space Marines just be handing out jump packs. You get a jump pack. You get a jump pack. You want 50 guys with jump packs? Take them.
Cool. Thunderwolf Cavalry do get a nerf here. What were they, like 220?
I think they were 110 and 220. Now they're 120 and 240. So 20 points on a 6-man. So 60 points across all of them.
And then the enhancement went up a bit. Bjorn went up a bit.
Like, you gotta go up 100 points on your army. I don't know that is gonna stop the Space
You're
Wolf
cutting
trade.
like one Inceptor unit or whatever version you were running.
One support piece.
Maybe one Wolfen unit.
I think you're still gonna run people over.
Wolf Jail is still very
jump pack
strong.
intercessors also went up, and I guess across
some variants didn't run them. They were running instead the.
How do you not run?
They were running
the best data sheet.
They were running the Grey Hunters instead.
Oh my god.
Now you can run Hounds of Mordecai. You can get cheap Marine bodies elsewhere. Like, that's the thing. So I at the end of the day, I think Wolf Jail is still going to be pretty decent.
I really think this is going to still be a top dog in the meta. Do we have? Oh, I don't know which one it is. Oh, there's
there is a sound effect button. I don't remember
Can I
either.
guess?
No.
Oh.
All right, Tau Empire here. So they've got a couple increases, but also a couple decreases. So Commander Farsight goes down 10 points. I didn't like him compared to a Cold Star previously. Now at 95, I think he competes favorably and is alongside the other commanders. So this is a nice change for internal
You already
diversity.
ran him.
No, I wasn't running him.
Oh, no?
Even though he's my favorite model, I wasn't running him. I didn't think he was worth it, but now I do think he is. Crute Carnivores go down 10 points. This is a big deal. So my Crute jail list that Nick was put into, it's back, baby. Better than ever.
Never left. Look at this. Green on the Crute. Crute Carnivores down. Crute Flesh Shaper down.
10-man
Trail Shaper down. Crute War Shaper down. Crute down.
Crute down, baby. So the 10-man unit you were always seeing in my list, I really like them. 65 points, really good. Flesh Shaper, this is all going to matter for the Crute specific lists, which gain a lot of points back, like 100 to 150 points or so, depending on what you're running. Rampagers go down significantly as well, which is nice. I think they're finally at a playable place at this point.
They should be.
Certainly in the Crute detachment, but you might be able to run them outside that.
Can I run my Crute army with nothing besides Crute?
That is still terrible. You need to run Tau units.
Crute are a Tau unit.
You need to run the good Tau units. But you can run a good amount of Crute units.
You can run 9 Crute Tox Riders, and it got cheaper.
Hey, all I have to do is give these to Charlie. We can get the Crute detachment going.
Let's do it.
Crute Tox Riders. So the one model unit, this is similar to Locust Destroyers. It goes up 5 points. So it's 40 now. I wasn't running them, but some other Tau players were. And the other unit, the 2-man, 3 model units go down. I think this is a playable points cost once again for them as well. Piranhas go up 5 points per model. Not terribly surprising here, but annoying. I think I really have been liking extra Pathfinder teams, so maybe I'll go down to like 1 Piranha.
Yeah.
Then Riptides go up 10 points. Once again, a data sheet seen all over in all the different detachments.
Riptides can go away as far as I'm concerned.
They're not going away with 10 point
every
increase.
edition. They've been so good since 7th. Can we sing a new song?
The biggest thing here is that now it's a 30-point difference between the Ghost Skill and the Riptide, and that's much more of a real conversation.
That's true. I always saw Riptides not Ghost Skills. I think we missed that super chat. Let's go scroll up and see if we got it. Yeah, we got Mr. Nitro, the $10 super chat. Shouldn't they add characters to the Obeisance Phalanx?
They don't. I assume they don't want the cryptex to be getting the benefit of Obeisance Phalanx. They want you to have to run a noble, the overlords, which is part of the lore of it. I would like to see that. But I think making it noble means Imhotep can benefit, Trazen can benefit, the characters that didn't have overlord keyword but were basically overlords, they benefit, and then the Silent King does. So this is a really good first step for it. I would like to see some other things for these type of detachments where they need like some other extra thing going on. But for now, I think this is a good enough buff for the Obeisance Phalanx that I'll at least experiment with it for sure.
Awesome. So back to the Tau. You feeling good on these Tau changes? Feeling good about the Kroot changes?
Yeah, I think overall the Kroot detachment is certainly more interesting. It's still not going to be as good as the other 3 detachments, but this is basically a side grade for Tau because other stuff got a lot worse.
Cool.
Sisters especially. Tau hated Sisters.
Speaking of things that got worse, Thousand Suns, a sea of red out here.
This is the first time they've taken like a real set of points nerfs. Like previously it was like little ones here and there, but they get a buff at the same time. This is the first like real, okay, you are going up like 100 points.
A small rules nerf to the faction in the sense that if you Doombolt somebody and they have like a reactive Feeling of Pain from mortals, like the Watch from the Dark and Dark Angels, they now actually get to use that reactive Feeling of Pain, which makes a lot of sense to me. But that was not how it worked before. Now it is. But in addition to that small,
I don't think that actually works. John said, yeah, the Watcher doesn't actually target off of mortals. It's just used in the phase.
I have been misinformed, folks. Stay tuned. John and Jack are going to do the rules video, so they're going to.
I believe John has clarified that actually still doesn't work. It works for the Custodes Feel No Pain strat, though.
Weird and inconsistent. Classic. So,
yes.
Now we've got Armon going up, Armon Disc going up, Exalted Sorcerer up to 110, Exalted Sorcerer.
I can do this quickly if you want.
Dude, break it out.
Okay, so Magnus goes up 25, the Infernal Master goes up 15, all the other sorcerers go up 10, the Vortex Beast goes up 10, 5-man Rubrics goes up 5, 10-man Rubrics goes down 10, and then the Forge Fiend goes up 10, the Zangor and Lighten go up 5. So if you're, let's say you're a Mike Muzeni or Thousand Suns player, his list is going up about 105 points, which means he has to cut one character or a Rubric squad to just play the same list.
Interesting. Yeah. So basically, across your army, you're losing like a thing you cared about,
which would be 2 Cabal points.
Or 5 bodies or 1 character. Like, all that stuff does matter. I'm not going to try to pretend like 100 points is not a relevant number. Like, that really is.
It keeps Thousand Suns on the razor edge of, they still do a lot of damage to you. That hasn't changed.
What's interesting also is that none of their non-taken data sheets have dropped at all. Like, your
Mauler Fiends,
Smaller Fiends, Land Raiders, none of that stuff's going down. So you're still going to see Thousand Suns attempting to do the exact same thing they have always done. You might see Terminators now, but really, it's just going to be the same old Thousand Suns with 100 fewer points.
Yep, and they needed a real nerf.
I'm glad
they've gotten like little bit like a nerf on this side, nerf on this side, nerf on this rule. I really personally would have rather seen a nerf to Cabal.
I think they really could use like a ground up index rewrite, and I think we'll see that in the codex a little bit.
Hopefully.
In the meantime, we still have this army that follows absolutely no rules to Warhammer and is way too good, but is actually 20 Rubric Marines in a trench coat. So if you can just kill it, you can just kill it.
Yeah, if it starts running low on resources, it doesn't do much anymore.
Yeah,
but this is a nerf to T-Suns for sure. Codex Tyranids.
Side grade of side grades.
Yeah, I think John said his list went down 5 points.
Yeah. And so did Alex Inglizos, one of our Australian coaches, who ran a totally different style, and John was like also 5 points down.
So Carnifexes go down 20 for the 2-man unit, but Old One Eye goes up 10, so net down 10 points for that. Pyrovores go up 5, Lictor goes up 5. Those things were just really cheap, as you've seen from other 35-point units or so. They're going up 5 in general. And then Von Ryan's Leapers go down a little bit. The Winged Hive Tyrant gets a nice decrease down to 200. That's really nice because it's seen in a lot of different lists.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Exocrine doesn't increase in points. It's really damn cheap for what you get there. Tyrannifex stays the same. A lot of their damage units don't change at all.
It's so weird. Like, when I look at the things they nerfed, like Old One Eye and the Solo Pyrovore, like, that's what you're nerfing. Like, the Exocrine is actually in every single army. Like, you know, like,
and it's
2 to 3.
Super good.
Yeah, but this is fine. Tyranids were not broken. They're like a nice... I think they're an army that really plays the way they should play. It has a lot of diversity in the way you can run the faction and is like a well-balanced, like competitive but not broken faction. So getting side grade changes just to shake things up a little, I think is perfectly reasonable.
People are asking about the Pure Tide chip for Tau. Yes, it did change. It's a 4-up CP regen for 25 points, which I think is too many points personally, but it has a rule that works now for the first time.
See, the Tau's over. This is the Tyranid time. Let the Tyranids eat. They're hungry.
They're hungry, but they're not hungry for machines. They're hungry for biomass.
I'm hungry to eat these worlds.
Here we go. The last one. Index World Eaters. Angron goes up 20 points. Spawn go up 5 points. The Demon Prince down 10? 5? 10? I honestly don't know how many points he was. Yeah. And then the Master Execution's up 10. So the typical style you were seeing from Mr. Anthony Vanilla goes up 30. And he runs how many spawn?
He runs 1 unit 2 spawn.
Yeah, so not that much.
I'm pretty sure Anthony is perfectly fine playing with like 1950 and stuff, and he's like going to cut a unit and then not even replace it.
Yeah, it's fine.
With World Eaters specifically, you have such a small array of data sheets and kind of similar to Thousand Suns, like you're not even looking at half of them. Like no one runs the World Eaters like Helldrake, right? And then when you just have 8-bound Khorne Berserkers, Angron, Spawn, and characters as like your actual data sheets you take, maybe Jackals, you just kind of take them, and then your list is 5-10 point cost now.
Yeah, I personally think that World Leaders are still basically just as good.
They're just as good. They're just as good as they were before. If anything, I think they might be a tiny bit better because armies like Thousand Suns were like a very good World Leaders counter, and they got worse.
Sisters too.
Sisters versus World Leaders was a very dangerous game because like Sisters did run the risk of like the World Leaders actually just charged you and killed you. But Sisters getting worse is definitely a net gain.
Oh, I was thinking about the Exorcist variant. Sorry.
Exorcists are stupid. Well, Exorcists the same thing. Like, the World Leaders are going to run at you. The Exorcists encourage them to run at you. You either die to the Exorcists before they get there, or you get there and the Exorcists.
It just forces them to run, and so they have that game. They have to do it.
They do run straight at you for Exorcists. There's no other way through it. Overall, I think World Leaders made out fine. This is whatever.
So how you feeling overall here? We'll just scan back up to the top.
Scanning through, I think the game is in a really, really healthy spot. And it already was. I was already very jazzed about this game.
Absolutely.
And the balance of it. But I think there were problem characters. Like Adepta Sororitas were too good. Bringers of Flame specifically. They hit Bringers of Flame without ruining the faction. And as a Sisters fan, I'm very happy with that. And then other armies, like Dark Angels, did see nerfs to the variations of Deathwing Knights. I don't know that it's going to be enough to stop it. Same with Space Wolves. I don't know that you're going to stop seeing Thunderwolf spam.
I don't think anything was nerfed out of the meta. Like a Cursed Cult is still viable. Like anything that was still on the top end of really good, it was nerfed, but not nerfed where you will just never see it again.
Yeah. So you have a lot of different things going on. I think you just bring the top of the meta more in line with the middle of the meta, and they did do a good job with Orks and GSC bringing the bottom of the barrel up to that midfield and maybe even beyond it into the top areas. Now we'll have to wait and see. Some armies definitely are struggle busting, like Imperial Knights. I'm sorry.
You got a Codex coming, though. That's exciting.
That is exciting. And Drukhari, despite taking nerfs, which are arguable whether they deserve them or not, they still have variety of competitive builds.
A lot of stuff in there still.
I would have loved to see more changes for things like demons, but that's me. I'm a demon player.
I think the internal I think this is a trend we saw in June too. Like the internal diversity changes, I think they nail it with a couple factions, and then a lot of them don't really get it. So like Necrons, I think the internal diversity there was done really well.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, an AdMech or, some of these other factions, I think they could do just a little bit more. Votann can use a little bit more internal diversity, demons. So hopefully they take some of the trends that we've been seeing though, where 5-mans are cheaper than 10-mans, or the 10-man, if it's useless, is cheaper than the 5-man, or not cheaper than goes down and the 5-man stays the same. There's been a lot more nuance to the points changes than previous that we've seen, and that's very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the granularity and the nuance of this game. I think it's really come such a long way, and they don't just restart it with every balance stage. Like they actually just take the game where it is and kind of fix the problems. And through the repetition of that process, we've been at this for a little over a year now with 10th edition. The game has become like actually very, very balanced, and I love that. It's the diversity in singles, the diversity in teams. It's just a good time to be playing Warhammer.
Player skill matters more than ever before. If you started at 10th edition without Dari meta, okay, come back to the game. The game is completely different. It is so vastly better in a year. it is unreal.
Yeah.
Like the amount of work that the Balance team has done is fantastic. So this is just another step in putting the game super close together.
They're only showing signs of investing further into the balance of the game, so one can only hope that this continues and expects it to. You know, I think Warhammer's in a great spot right now.
So good. This is the best Warhammer has ever been. It continues to be.
We're so excited.
That is a fact. Anybody who's been playing for the last several years just knows it. All right. So coming up, we've got another stream that's going to be Jack and John. They're going to go through the Codex, the different Codex FAQs, the Pry Nexus changes, as well as the, what is the other one? The core rules changes that happen like to Blood Surge and other stuff, such stuff. So come back in just a little bit. The event is already created. Go to our main page and click on the upcoming streams, and you'll see it, the core rules. And then later at 1 p.m. Eastern time is going to be New Blood Angels up against our very good and buffed Genestealer Cults. Should be a really exciting matchup. I'm excited to see that because those two factions going head to head. We haven't had that type of matchup in a while.
They couldn't have played each other. The Angels are up here, Genestealer Cult down here. And now we have an awesome, maybe even battle. I'm really excited for it.
So we're going to be live streaming basically all day. Come back, hang out with us. Please give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends about us. All of that massively helps. In addition, leave a comment below telling us how you're feeling about this new exciting meta. What are you most excited about? What are you going to be playing? Please tell us. That we're going to read those comments because we love hearing from you.
And don't forget to check out that War Room. There's a link below for the 3-day free trial, thewarroom.vhx.tv. Every single day this week, starting today, we are going to be releasing War Room games in addition to our live YouTube game already out there that you can watch right now as new.
All new lists. All new lists.
All new lists, all new ideas. Chaos Space Marines versus Eldar today. Tomorrow, we've got Thousand Suns versus Space Marines. And then later on this week, we're showing off the brand new Orks and Sisters. So really exciting stuff. And all through the coming weeks, we're going to be trying experimenting with all the different factions and getting different states of the faction videos out there. So no matter what faction you're playing, we are going to have content for you in the War Room, which you can check out right now for your 3-day free trial.
Absolutely. We hope to see you there and joining our awesome international Discord community. Can't wait to see you. So long for now. We'll see you in a little bit for the next video. So long for now.